can never have too many tools. Shop DeWalt deals at Lowe's. Get a free Select DeWalt 20-volt max power tool when you buy a Select 20-volt max 5-amp-hour battery kit. Plus, get a free additional DeWalt 20-volt max 8-amp-hour battery when you buy a DeWalt 10-inch 20-volt max dual-bevel compounded miter saw. Our best lineup is here at Lowe's. Valid through 6/24 while supplies last. Selection varies by location.
I want to ask you something. If you think about your last normal week, one that didn't contain a holiday or a special occasion, just a regular normal working week, what would the good version of that actually look like? Most people can sort of do it without thinking too hard, because work gives you a bit of structure. You'll know roughly where you'll be, where and when. You know what you actually enjoy about work and what it feels. You know what you're trying to achieve. You've got a goal. You've got people around you. And I know people can get frustrating, but often they bring us a lot of joy as well. You've got deadlines to meet, a reason to get up on a Monday morning. Now try the same exercise in the next chapter of your life post-retirement. Imagine you're not working anymore. What does a good week look like then? I think that's a harder question to answer. And that's what we're going to be tackling today. Welcome to What Happens Next. Hi, my name's Chris Daems. I'm a chartered financial planner. I run my own business, Develop Financial Planning. And for the last couple of decades, I've helped people in their 50s and 60s think about the next chapter of their lives. And increasingly and more recently, that's not only been about the money, but also about the life they want to live. And there's one thing I've really noticed. Almost everyone plans the financial side of stopping work. They plan their pensions, their income, their investments. They really make effort to fill gaps, but also it's a cause of worry. But very few people plan for the structure. What I mean by this is work gives us a range of three things, including social connection and purpose. It doesn't only give us money. But one thing that we never talk about seems to be the fact that work gives us some structure. Monday to Friday, if we work those hours, roughly 9 to 5, you know what you're doing. You might not love it, but you know what it is. And as soon as you remove that, you're in possession of 40 to 60 hours a week as a gap. That time used to be accounted for. So what happens to fill all that time? For some people, the answer is amazingly joyful. They feel it, they flourish. They say, and I've heard this from clients time and time again, I don't know how I found the time to actually work. For others, and this is something people are less common to admit, but I think more common to feel, that time becomes a weight. It becomes an obligation. It's unstructured. It's a bit lonely. It's a bit purposeless. The difference between those two groups, I believe, isn't always luck. It's often preparation. So let's talk about well-being. Let's talk about the 5 things that you could fit into your week that make a good week. Because I'm on What Happens Next all about helping people think about life in balance, life in nuance, and looking at what a well-balanced life means to you. And there's 5 pillars typically of a well-lived life. They're not mine originally. They're drawn on years of research into what actually makes people happy and healthy in later life. And here's what I want to do today. I want to talk about those 5 pillars and ask you, in a typical week after work, how much time are you structuring to give to each of them? Now, I'm not saying that structuring your time after work is the only thing you can do. Often there's an element of freedom we want of time, particularly when we've been so structured. All I'm saying is thinking about having an element of structure and combining that with the freedom of time you want in the next chapter of your life is the right potential balance to look at it this way. And the one I want to talk about first is the obvious one, financial. Yes, you are going to need enough money to live the next chapter of your lives. We've talked about that a lot on this channel. But in terms of a good week, financial well-being isn't about the balance you've got in your bank account or your pension. We're on a mission with What Happens Next to help as many people as we can navigate the next chapter of their life. So I need a favour. I'd like you to visit our YouTube channel at What Happens Next Life, and we'll make sure we put a link to the YouTube channel in the comments. Enjoy the videos, like the ones that you get benefit from, but most importantly, please subscribe. We want to help as many people as we can with What Happens Next, and subscribing to our YouTube channel for free is the easiest way you can help us. It's about having the confidence to know you've got enough. It's that feeling of being in financial control. It's knowing where your money is and where your money is coming from. It's not lying awake at 3 a.m. in the morning. That's a planning problem, not a sad to spend your week problem. But actually, if you need support on that, work with a good financial planner who can help you both with the emotional and educational sides of money and take the time it takes to manage money off your plate, or self-educate. And there's some fantastic content on YouTube and beyond that allows you to do that. The next one that I think is a non-negotiable is physical. The research on physical activity, longevity, mental health, cognitive function, and all of that sort of stuff, we know is overwhelming. Moving our bodies physically isn't optional if we want longer, healthier, happier lives. It's the foundation of everything. Health actually is probably the foundational wealth. And here's the good news. Regardless of where you are health-wise, you've now got more time to invest in it. The question is whether you need to build it into your week to make sure that you're consistently focusing on health. And what do you need to do if you're not doing that? I think a lot about what works for me health-wise, and certainly I've, for a few years now, tried to get into a better routine. But as you know, if you watch the channel regularly, I quite enjoy a game of paddle tennis, not only because it's social, but because it's physical, and because I know that I need to be somewhere at a particular point of time because I've promised other people. My wife, Cassie, goes to the gym early in the morning with her friend, again for the same reason. So actually, physical well-being and putting structure around that might be the boost that you need to get started. I'd suggest that because physical health is so foundationally important, you put it in your diary like you would if it was a meeting at work. So my question to you is, what are you going to do next to make sure you're incrementally improving your physical health today and create a structure about how you do that consistently? The next thing I'd make sure was in your week, every week, is intellectual well-being. The art of staying curious, of learning new things, of being challenged. Work provided this for many of us, whether we realised it or not. For a lot of us, work gives us a difficult problem to solve, a new piece of software to learn, a situation that required our expertise. In the next chapter, where does that challenge, that curiosity and that drive come from? That might be going back to study. That might be putting time in your diary to read a book that really challenges you or makes you think. That might be starting a business. That might be a creative project. This pillar collapses fast when people stop working, and the effects show up quickly. So my big question to you is, how are you going to stay intellectually engaged and curious in the next chapter of your life? Then it's social. I know a lot of people who left work and realised how much they relied on work for social connection. Workplace connection, and the lots of that, if it's not replaced, is one of the biggest predictors of poor mental health in retirement. And I want you to think about that for a moment. Colleagues, even the ones you moaned about, and we've all got them, provided daily human contact. A good week always has people in it. And I'm not talking about whether you're an extrovert or an introvert. People you love and like and spending time with them in whatever way works for you is really important. And not just family, people, friends, community, and connection are all fundamentally important. And the next pillar is community. I think this one surprises people the most. But the stats and the evidence is clear. Kindness to others, helping others, being part of a community that does that is good for all parts of our mental health and for our physical well-being. Contributing beyond ourselves is an important and fundamental part of the next chapter of our lives if we want it to be. That might include volunteering or mentoring or civic involvement or supporting local causes. The research here is crystal clear. People who feel like they're giving something back report significantly higher levels of purpose and well-being. And the beautiful irony of all this, the time you didn't have when you were working, you've got time to give back now. So what are you going to do to give back? I'd love to know. Now, we talk about all these pillars of well-being in the What Happens Next book, because we've built a model around looking at the areas of your life that are important and are going to be important in your next chapter. I'd love for you to have a copy of the book. I'm recording this at the start of May, so it might not be out yet. It's coming out on the 28th of May. But what we'll do is make sure that you've got all the pre-order links in the video below so you can get access to it. And we'd love to know your thoughts on the book once you've read it. So now we've looked at the pillars of wellbeing. I want to look at how we structure that into a good week. And I want to make it super practical. I want you to imagine, or if you've already stopped working, reflect on a genuinely good week. Not perfect, not aspirational, just good. And what I want you to do is look at the variety in that week. You've probably got something physical in there, something social, something that uses your brain, something that gets you outside into the world and in front of other people. And the good weeks have at least one thing that gives you purpose. It feels like it matters. It's a contribution, however small. Something you did that the world is fractionally better for. That's it. Including that structurally in the weeks that you've got coming up is what we need to do. And it's not complicated, but it just requires a little bit of planning and a little bit of thought. So here's how we do it. We draw a blank week on a piece of paper or use our calendar app of choice. We take 7 days and we just have some rough blocks of time. Now we fill it. We fill it with areas that we want to improve our well-being. Physical, intellectual, social and community. And maybe some financial admin in there if that needs doing too. Now, what you next need to do is think about what specific things you're going to do to fill those buckets. Now, in the What Happens Next book, I do talk about the benefits of thinking about improving 2 aspects of wellbeing at the same time. So let's say, for example, there's a great organisation called Good Gym who go out for a run, help somebody out and then run back. That's boosting their physical and community wellbeing. And actually thinking about how you can boost 2 elements of wellbeing at once is certainly worth doing. Building the areas of wellbeing you want to include in your week, do the specific tasks, and then simply live that week. What I'd like you to do is continue to do that whilst you're getting feedback about how it feels. Because there's going to be some elements that go really well, some elements that don't and you need to change. And what you should be doing is constantly evolving that plan until you get to a point where every week is giving you enough freedom to do what you want, because actually we do want that in the next chapter of our lives, but enough structure to make sure that our buckets of well-being are being topped up. And I'd love to know how you get on. So if you've done this exercise before, if you've planned out your ideal week before, feel free to let me know in the comments below. If you're doing it for the first time, please let me know how you get on. The question I started with in this video, what does a good week look like? Sounds almost too simple. But in 20 years of sitting across from people going through this transition, the people who do it successfully know what they're going to do, not only with their money, but with their time. You don't need the perfect answer. You just need to know where to start, experiment, evolve, and then move forward. As always, I'm curious. So what does your ideal week after work look like? What does it include? What's the first thing you'd put in that week? Please drop that in the comments. Have a lovely week, and we'll see you next time on What Happens Next.
Part of the issue we've got when we're thinking about what happens next in our lives is having the self-awareness, having the introspection to be able to think about what the gaps in our well-being are. And we're doing loads of work at the minute with What Happens Next to build solutions that are going to help you think about well-being in a nuanced way when you're thinking about how it applies to your life. One of the first things we've built that you can use today is our What Happens Next quiz. It's free to do, takes about 5 minutes, but what it will do is give you an insight into the areas of strengths when it comes to your well-being and the areas you might want to improve. You can take the What Happens Next quiz at whathappensnext.life/quiz, and I hope it helps you in your journey to work out what happens next for you.